So what if I told you that in the Ukraine war, there are two completely different realities playing out at the exact same time? Seriously. One is this incredible story of modern warfare, a real masterclass. But the other, well, the other is a chilling echo from the past, warning us about a risk we might be completely ignoring. And in this explainer, we're going to break down both.
You know, everyone loves a good David versus Goliath story, right? Well, this is that, but with a serious modern twist. Our first perspective zooms in on the Netherlands, a country smaller than West Virginia, and how its super quiet, methodical strategy might have just changed the entire air war in Ukraine. It's something Russia absolutely never saw coming.
So let's talk about this first reality, the Dutch blueprint. And this is a story all about strategic innovation. It's not just about sending weapons, not at all. It's about how the Netherlands, quietly, brilliantly, built the entire architecture for a modern, future-proof Ukrainian air force.
To get this, you first have to understand Russia's massive miscalculation. Moscow's whole plan was basically to just wait it out. They figured, hey, the West will get bored, the US will get distracted, and the sky will be ours. But they didn't count on the Dutch. Instead of just sending stuff, they provided real leadership and built a long-term system with one goal in mind: to deny Russia the air.
And here's where the plan is just genius. It was never just about the planes. See, anybody can send hardware. The Dutch sent a whole ecosystem. First, they provided their old F-16s to be the backbone. But then, and get this, they built a training center in Romania to create a non-stop pipeline of new pilots. They gave them eyes in the sky with surveillance planes, and they funded the whole shebang: missiles, maintenance, even a drone wall. They didn't just donate a weapon. They basically gifted Ukraine a fully operational, self-sustaining air force from scratch.
And look, this wasn't some small gesture. We're talking about over 6 billion euros in military support. Now, for a country of just 17 million people, that is nearly 1% of their entire GDP. That tells you this isn't charity. No way. It's a strategic realization that, for them, the security of Amsterdam is directly connected to the security of Kharkiv.
So what does all this investment get you? Well, it gets you this really powerful military concept called air denial. And the goal here isn't to own the entire sky. It's much smarter than that. The goal is to make the sky so dangerous, so expensive, and so unpredictable that your enemy has to think twice before every single mission. The Dutch essentially made the air over Ukraine way too costly for Russia to operate in free.
Okay, so that's a pretty powerful story of tactical success, right? But now we have to pivot. Let's look at this whole conflict through a completely different and, frankly, much darker lens that comes from our second source. All right, so reality number 2, the historical paradox. This perspective argues that to really understand the insane risk we're facing today, we have to deal with a profound loss of historical memory. It says this isn't some new war, it's a very old one that never actually ended. And this quote really gets to the heart of it. The central claim from this other viewpoint is that the West is suffering from a kind of collective amnesia. We've just forgotten the complicated alliances of the 20th century. And because of that, this source suggests we are fundamentally misreading the danger we are in right now.
And here is the paradox in black and white. Just think about this for a second. For decades, Russia was celebrated for Stalingrad, right? The battle that was seen as the turning point against Hitler. But today, the West, including a reunified Germany, is militarily lined up against Russia. The country that was our key ally against Nazism is now painted as the #1 threat. It's a complete reversal.
So this viewpoint argues that World War II never really truly ended. It just morphed. That core geopolitical fight, the effort to contain Moscow, it didn't just vanish in 1945. Nope, it just got absorbed into new alliances, continued under different flags, and has led us straight to the conflict we're watching unfold today.
And this is where it gets genuinely alarming. From a Russian strategic perspective, this isn't some abstract war happening far away. Ukraine is just a few hundred miles from Moscow. It's seen as an existential threat. And the ultimate danger, according to this source, isn't some long drawn-out World War III. It's immediate, catastrophic, thermonuclear escalation if one side pushes just a little too far.
Okay, so let's pull back and put these two powerful and totally conflicting stories side by side. On the one hand, you've got this story of tactical genius. On the other, a stark warning of potential extinction.
So what we're left with are two completely different ways of seeing the exact same events. The Dutch blueprint is all about strategy, innovation, and transforming Ukraine on the battlefield.
But the historical paradox, it looks right past the battlefield to the long arc of history and warns that this whole system is just moving unchecked towards an abyss.
And that leaves us with a final and pretty vital question, doesn't it? How do you measure victory when the very tools of liberation could also become the instruments of extinction? You see, one reality doesn't cancel out the other. And maybe the real challenge here is just being able to hold both of those terrifying ideas in your head at the same time.